Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is how to stop being afraid or fearful of the future. Really, and I think that boils down to how do you stop being fearful of newness, opportunity, after you've been sort of in a damaging relationship where someone who has caused you to enter into a deceptive state, a state of not really knowing your truth or feeling that you've been separated from your truth, which is your feelings, your true feelings, your true perceptions, your true perspective. And how do you stop being afraid of the future or new? What I really feel is newness. And to understand the answer, how to successfully move through it and move forward, and to do it in a rapid manner, really, it's required to look at the cause that's created the effect and to look at the dynamics that the relationship has put you in, the position that the relationship has put you in versus your position with life, and really looking at a position within yourself and doing a heart check and a gut check, and to get used to doing this as you move through or heal from or heal out of a relationship where there's been manipulation, deception, where you've been put into positions where you've been fed a lot of lies, or you've been fed some distrustful situations, but you trusted this person anyway. You gave them the benefit of the doubt and you let them off the hook when you should have held them or a situation them accountable. And it's very easy to let someone who is narcissistic or psychopathic, or who is really, sort of become into this toxic level, to let them off the hook, because people become so fearful of confronting someone who is narcissistic or psychopathic or has really become toxic. It's very difficult to confront them, or what you might call carefronting yourself. And it's much more effective to carefront or confront yourself, i.e., look at yourself and be rigorously honest before trying to do this while you're in the midst of something sort of midstream with this individual, or in a series of individuals or workplace situations where I know a lot of viewers have found themselves in family or, surrounded by a number of different problematic relationships, and you're sort of constantly feeling that you're being put into this position. And it's very difficult to know where to start. Where do you begin? Where do you begin the carefrontation or confrontation process? How do you get rigorously honest with somebody and you're feeling, fearful of a lot of things, but how do you really get some sure footing? To really do yourself solid, you need to understand the cause that's created this effect of being fearful of moving forward or fearing newness, when usually that should be a welcome experience. Oftentimes it's not a welcome experience, but someone who's been put into a position where they have, been violated on their boundaries, violated in terms of being brainwashed or gaslighted, meaning you've had to doubt yourself, or you've had to sort of trust someone else and put them first, and trusting them versus trusting yourself, which oftentimes is a key universe into just a universe unto itself of that dynamic where you've put trust into somebody when you're having to second guess or distrust yourself. So it becomes a real embedded, almost habitual, automatic autopilot for people to stop and not being able to look at and being able to say, no, I don't think so. If you're in a relationship with someone who is narcissistic or psychopathic, somewhere on down the line, there's going to be a role differential where they are superior in certain ways to how you feel about yourself. So, and really, in the course of the relationship, there's probably on more than one occasion where you've had to put them first and agree that they are superior in some way. And it's meaning the whole kit and caboodle, the whole package. In other words, they are superior, they are right, they are the one with the power, they are the one with the loudness, they are the one with the, you know, just they have to be right. Oftentimes, when you look at really sort of the overarching personality of the narcissist or someone who is psychopathic, they are the one who are trying to outsmart other people and making themselves smarter or knowing what's right or going on, giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, yes, you know best. You know what's best for love. You know what's best for the family. You are right. And then giving them the authority, the say-so, and the superiority over yourself, including oftentimes your own gut level. You're having to violate your own trust connection. In other words, getting that used enough so that it's strengthened and you know what it feels like. Oftentimes it boils down to a physiology where you're not able to make that connection of trusting my gut, following up, and honoring my own limitations, honoring my own boundaries. There has to be a distinguishing. Oftentimes people don't want to tell a narcissist or a psychopath no, or someone who they've been overpowered by no, not only because they're fearful of the response, but in the fact that these people oftentimes don't like to be challenged, called out, or questioned, or to even have a discussion of certain things. It's just like it becomes off limits, taboo, we're not doing this. That, you learn somewhere in the relationship that you don't do that. You trust them above all. You agree with them on all accounts. They are superior. They are better than. They are right. They are the one that you should trump everything else. And this becomes a universal, far-sweeping problem if you are in a position or you're put into a position where they have to trump, their call has to trump everything. And, as in terms of decision making moving forward, including how you feel and how you connect to yourself. So we're talking about an internal communication that I feel really gets severed, disconnected, not embraced, not used, and therefore weakened or withers away to the point where it almost feels like it does not resonate or it doesn't kick on, or it's not permitted, or that you distrust it. In other words, you're wrong, that's the wrong decision, that's the wrong car, that's the wrong outfit, that's the wrong dinner, that's the wrong movie, that's the wrong concert, that's the wrong art, that's the wrong cookware. In other words, there's something inherently wrong with you. Don't question me. It becomes an unspoken contract. It becomes an unspoken agreement when you're in a relationship. In order to really survive or stay within it for a certain amount of time, you have to, give in or admit or agree to, either verbally or non-verbally, that they are the one who is right, better than, on track, and that your connection within yourself, there must be something wrong with it. So it gets unused, it gets disconnected, it gets shut off, it gets unplugged. And so it's very difficult to have strength, conviction of character and confidence and know-how and self-trust when this route has not been used, when it has not been listened to, but more importantly, accepted, owned, and followed up and enforced. So there's a certain degree, I own this. In other words, I accept, I own what I know. I own this. This becomes an internal, I know this to be a fact. So there's this internal knowing and conviction and security and serenity, really, once it gets used. And then you can count on yourself. You have a degree of self-reliance. You have a degree of self-efficacy and self-trust. So this should be a foundation, not, a maybe. This should be a foundational element of being able to be enacted or utilized in a relationship. Being able to connect with your gut, connect with your own choice. Because oftentimes when you're with someone who is narcissistic or psychopathic, your choices become very limited. You feel that you don't have a choice. You don't have an option. There is no other way to look at this. So it becomes, you don't know, just do it. It becomes like you're almost like a marching order from a commander, a colonel, a superior. And, we all know, when you're in an army, the Navy, the Marines, you do what the sergeant, you do what that, no matter how inhumane, you just have to take the marching orders. So the narcissist oftentimes will sort of inadvertently or subconsciously, or whether you consciously acknowledge it or validate it or understand it, usually I feel it's really in the beginning stages of the relationship where you don't feel that your choices are being more and more limited and denied you. If you don't have an element of choice, in other words, like, where am I going to go for dinner? Where are we going to go to the movie? If you don't feel that is this okay for me to wear? Is this okay for our dinner party? Is this okay for the menu? This is what I've put together. Your own suggestions. I want to go with my friends. I want to, I want to take a trip with the girls, or I want to take a trip with the guys, or whatever it is. It becomes a no-go. It becomes your choices get more and more limited when you keep a toxic individual or a narcissist around, because their ego is literally big enough for the both of you. Their ego, as you continue in the relationship, in my viewpoint, your own space, your personal space becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. In fact, you might even just have like a lunch pail that you really feel that all you have is yours. I mean, it feels very restricting as time goes on. The choices seem to be more and more restrictive, and your beliefs become more and more self-limiting. And so it's like the broad becomes very narrow. It becomes, what can be and should be an element, which is exercising free will and choice, the ability to choose and to be able to have options, is a key element of being empowered, is to know that you have a choice and to make some choices and being able to follow through on those and not feel that you're going to be scapegoated, targeted, said, that's a bad choice, or to, not be supported, or get the look, get the cold shoulder, whatever it is that you come to know and then expect. And so it derails your empowerment. It derails your self-efficacy, feeling effective, knowing that you can make positive effect, not only for yourself, but for situations, and that you can rehearse this and practice this so it becomes stronger and stronger. It can be life-changing if things aren't headed in the right direction, and then you feel that then you're put into a position that's so much in the corner that you feel that you don't have any choices. So it feels like the bottom's going to go out, and then you eventually want to give up. People become very, very unhappy when they are put into a position where they're in a very uncomfortable, where they do not feel that they have a future that looks bright, that looks where they're be able to have experienced choice, optimism, and not be attacked, not be scrutinized, not be judged, because those will constantly eat away and become very edgy to people, where it'll cause this toxicity or feeling of being unwell, unhappy, unfulfilled. um, and how do you, that's a great viewer question, is how do you become more positive and stop being fearful? Fearful fear can take many levels, but really at the root of it is a feeling of lack of self-trust. Lack of self-trust. Being able to say, I can do this. I have a choice. I have an option. And being able to walk a little bit on that path to say, hey, that path is actually leading to this beautiful perspective and meadow and river and beautiful lakefront or beautiful ocean, but you can't quite see it. You can't see it yet, so you don't know whether it's going to go somewhere. So people might take one or two steps and then shy away. There's the fear of moving forward. And oftentimes because there is no seeing, so there is no believing, and just more so, that element does not get utilized and tapped into enough. So really, to eliminate that fear, you need to be able to take time and tap in to your own North Star, your own guidance system within, and be able to listen to it and to stop listening to a situation where you are having to live in denial or deception or manipulation or disempowerment. I mean, really, those all become synonymous. And so to help kind of loosen up that fear, it's important to start getting some choice into your emotional diet, getting some element of choice and options, and making choice more of a frequency versus a blue moon, like, wow, I've actually got a choice, rather than a luxury. It really has to be a necessity. And you need to be able to flex your choice muscle so you can then begin to have some sense of self-efficacy and self-trust, and knowing that you can enforce and handle it, and that you are having a foundation that is worthy of building up decisions, choices in expansive, not just limited and narrow and confined and feeling suffocated as if you don't have any choice. Being fearful is to feel, that really you cannot support yourself, when yes, you can. It doesn't, if you say I need to, it's basically saying, if you speak in that sort of dialogue, I need to, it's as if it's coming from without. When true faith has to come from within. Acts of faith. In other words, it's coming from within. Acts of faith must come from within. It must be tapped into. It must be practiced. It must be rehearsed. It must be enjoyable. And it might not be pleasant if it's new, meaning unfamiliar. It's not, it's becoming unfamiliar, unused, I don't know. The uncertainty looms great in your heart or in your mind, but it's only going to loom great if you allow it, if you allow the limitation to take you over, and if you allow other people or a series of other people to put you into a position where you're feeling, I don't have a choice. If you're so used to that confinement, then that the open road, the open option of being able to trust yourself and feel what it feels like to fly, you got to get your wings flapping a little bit. You're going to have to try some new motions, but these are internal motions. So these don't take like big muscles. I mean, you got to build up some internal muscle. So you have to know what that feels like, and it won't take very long. I mean, a couple of days or a week or two, and you'll say, wow, I really do have a lot of choices here. I really do have a lot of options, but you need to get used to making them. Um, with everything from your tone of voice to the words that you use to what you put your focus on, what you put your value on, what you put your emphasis on, what's important to you, your priority. If you're so used to, putting everyone else as the priority in what they think about and what they say, then you're going to be way on down the list. I mean, you might be person 25. That is not, to feel helpless, is unequivocally a learned state. We've talked about that previously on the channel. Learned helplessness is a state that you will experience based on your environment. Based on your environment. If you are around people who will take away your choice and your options, then you'll eventually just feel that you're not living your own life. There's something wrong with this picture. So getting everything headed in the right direction is to get a little bit of grit and a little bit of traction, which comes with empowerment and getting used to and deliberately creating some choices, creating some options. Am I going to wear these shoes or those shoes? This socks or those socks? These pants, this food, that food. Am I going to, go gambling or am I going to work? So looking at your choices, begin to create. So my advice to begin to remove the fear is give it some training wheels first. Begin to realize how many choices you have, just so you can begin to experience physiologically on a free will basis, how many choices do I actually have, so you can open up that can of worms for yourself and get used to making more deliberate and conscious choices. Am I going to have a slab of ribs or am I going to have a chicken breast? Am I going to have a sirloin or am I going to have a filet? Am I going to have a orange vegetable or a yellow one? Am I going to have A or B? Begin to ask yourself more questions and you'll begin to see that there's a lot more solutions out there once you begin to open up from that asphyxiation or that sort of suffocating feeling of being under the guise of decision making where someone sort of, overwhelmed you, overpowered you, dominated you, domineered you, manipulated you, caused, deception and, that duplicity, that cognitive dissonance where you've had to go against for the sake of someone else looming or the perspective that they're better or right. This is a key. This will help open up so much internal space and freedom. If you can understand how important choice is and to learn and to see how you feel about your choices moving forward. Okay, and in the beginning, it might not feel very good, but as you continue, you'll get to the good stuff. You'll get to, once again, let's try this path. You don't know where it's going to lead. There might be but everybody else has gone this way. I've always done this. That path is well worn. And it's just like I'm going down the same path. You get to a point when you sit there at the crossroads and you go, I don't want to go down that path. I already know, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, got the picture, got the whatever, got the hot dog, been there, done that. And it's okay to embrace newness and to not cling to the old in that respect. Don't, cling to the old, well-worn path. It's comfortable. It's familiar. It's automatic. It's what everybody else agrees to. That is but you don't know where the good stuff is. It seems like, well, I wanted to do this. I should have done this. You got to stop beating yourself up in order to get to that, that little open, inlet into that new path. It has to be a radical new path, though. In other words, you need to understand that you're going to be okay with embracing the newness of the future, and that's where the good stuff is. The excitement, the enthusiasm, the joy, the peace of mind, the serenity, the relationships, living in more abundance. When you begin to make that stronger inner connection. I knew I was right. I should have followed my hunch. I knew I was right. I should have followed my hunch. See if you can check and catch yourself when you say those things. Begin to reinforce it. In other words, begin to write it down. What I call in the book that I'm working on, lessons learned. You need to treat your life as if, you matter. Your self-trust matters. So writing it down. Where did you let it slip? Where did you let it slide? I didn't write it down. I didn't write it in the calendar. It was in my list of to don'ts. Don't ever challenge the narcissist. Don't ever challenge this psychopath. Don't ever, question authority. Don't ever question them. Oftentimes you had to repress a lot. Push a lot of your own innate talent, strength, happiness down to the point where it feels invisible, or you feel invisible, or you're in such a crossroads where there's no choice available. Getting to that means you have to be able to check in with yourself and do some things independently, autonomously, even if it means disappointing or not showing up for somebody, or not going to that event, not over obligating anymore, not saying yes when you mean no, not giving not going for that date when you shouldn't, not taking care of somebody's dishes when they should be picking up their own, not cleaning up somebody else's mess when they need to clean up their own. It's a very codependent thing, especially in the beginning of relationships and the love bombing. Oh yes, you're so wonderful, yada yada. Let me do this for you. Let me do your laundry. Let me do the cooking. Let me do the driving. Let me do the work. Let me raise the kids. Let me pay the bills. Let me do all the interior design. Let me do the roofing, whatever it is, where you've, that rescue, let me do this, instead of me doing this for myself, even though I know I should, let me do this for this other person. Let me enroll you in college. Let me get you a job. Let me do all of your shopping. Let me straighten out your books. Let me straighten out your bookkeeping. Let me straighten out your bills. I can do that for you. So it becomes a way for you to, have instant value to this person. And once again, this could have been set up way back when in the relationship, where you thought you had to do these things to be lovable, to be appreciated, to, but yet one did not know back then what one does know now. So it's important for you to look at the cause that's created the effect of the fear, and to look at that as the place for getting, that self-expression of acceptance and really love, which is the absence of fear, back. Life is too short to be cleaning up everybody's messes all the time. Life is too short to just be a caregiver and to not receive. Life is too short to be able to put everyone else first and you last. Life is too short for you to give everybody else the best slice of the pizza and you just take the end that nobody wants. It's okay, you guys be happy. It's okay, you guys be happy. Why don't you guys take this, no, you take this piece of the steak. You take this breast of the chicken. No, you go ahead, I'll take this. It's okay. And then meanwhile, you're self-degrading. No, that's okay. Let's do this. It's okay. And then meanwhile, you miss out on what you want. You miss out on your shows. You miss out on the dinners that you wanted to cook. You miss out on the restaurants you wanted to go to. You miss out on the trips and the hotels you wanted to stay in. it's always taking a back seat to this individual who feels that they are the driver. You are the driver. You have the choice. And when I say driver, I mean to put out some choices and to be able to say yes to you. And yes, I trust myself on this. I have a feeling that this is going to, and then so what do you need to do to get back? Once again, on that path, it seems like, well, no, it's not very well worn. The road less traveled, M. Scott Peck, the road less traveled. That is what has made all the difference. Is to say, you know what, this road less traveled, it leads to the biggest clearing. And that can, to the greatest surprise. And like, that's what life is all about, these, positive moments. And to, accumulate more of these positive moments than negative, so that you can weather the storm and you can make choices that, oftentimes though, why I say this is the choices are the ones that you make on a daily basis. It's not just should we buy this house or that house. The choices are on your everyday, moment by moment. So begin to open up the banquet of choices for yourself. And then you will not be as fearful or as self-distrusting or be inhibited or hindered by those because of you're not being used to it. So open up some choices and begin to ask yourself, am I going to sit or am I going to lay down or am I, begin to, and being able to, try this on, see how some choice makes, should I do it now or later? Or, learn to give yourself more and more choices. Open that up, and then you'll begin to then have less fear about moving forward. And you'll be able to get the support and the good life that you've been knowing was there, but you're going to get it a lot more quickly. You will be empowered. You'll be able to appreciate it as well because you know what the other side looks like. Embrace the future. Don't always look back, but understand the cause that has led to this and being able to disperse it, dissolve it, make it a non-issue. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out.